Recording in progress. call to order the Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023 Design Review Board meeting. And the first thing I'd like to do is ask us to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, if we could, we'll introduce our teammates, the staff, and the board members.
Shubhajangam, Senior Planner.
Michael Cardiman, Planner 2.
Casey Robinson, Bethany Bend.
Doug Haney, Bethany Way.
Charlie Roberts, Freemanville Road.
Ken Warlick, Hipworth Road.
Rachel Greathouse, Hickory Flat.
Good. Next, everybody, if you wanted one, pick one up at the door, and we have an agenda for this evening. So if I could get discussion, amendments, or approval of the agenda tonight.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Y'all are timid tonight. So the agenda has been approved for tonight. Next, approval or discussion of last month's meeting, the meeting of April 11th, 2023. Any discussion or amendments to the minutes? All right, hearing none, can I get a motion?
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from April 11th, Design Review Board meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, we have 3 or 4 orders of business this evening. The first one is demolitions. Item 5A is the first one up. Is the applicant here? It is 15370 Freemanville Road.
Not here yet. I don't know why, but I told him. Do you mind moving it at the end of the agenda? I'll try to.
Let's see, is this, this is a business. You know, do we have to have an applicant here if we want to move on? It's a demo. I wouldn't move on if it was anything else, but,
No, we need applicants.
so, all right, then let's make a motion to, if the board chooses to, make a motion to defer item 5A, 15370 Freemanville Road until the end of the meeting. Can we get a motion?
So we're saying we're going to move it not to just the demolition reviews, but to after all the other applicants have been heard.
Yes, we'll move that. We'll, let's put it in, actually, as you bring that up, Ken. Let's put it in after 7A and before 8, new business.
Make a motion to allow more time for the applicant by moving 5A to the end of our session after the completion and approval of 7A.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, next item would be 5B. That is 525 Batesville Road. Is that applicant here?
How's everybody doing?
Very good, thank you.
Please state your name and address.
My name is Ward Robinson. The address is 525 Batesville Road, Milton 30004.
And are you the owner?
Yes,
All right, and then Jason Hips is
Just have us.
your builder?
correct.
Okay. What you want to tell us?
I was invited to be here to speak about it, but basically what we were doing is there's a home on the property that I believe was built in the 80s. We are looking to demo that, build a larger square footage home, slightly back from the road, not much, in a standard design that's similar to a lot of the homes in the area.
Okay. Do we have any opposition to this?
No,
Hearing no opposition, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask the board for its discussion.
None.
Hearing no discussion, can I get a motion?
Make a motion to approve the demo of 525 Batesville Road.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Tear it down quick, build something new.
Will do. Thank you.
All right, we're going to change now from demolitions to courtesy reviews. And the first item on our agenda is 6A. That is 850, 875 Hickory Flat Road. Is that applicant here?
Yes, 7 Acre Breakfast is the address. Is the address correct? Is the address correct?
850 and 875.
Yes.
Well, it's confusing. Fulton County has the corner as 850 and the one to the west is 875. It's wrong, but we have to live with that because you can't change it. So,
All right, well, somewhere you're going to talk to us about 850 or 875, somewhere on the property, you're trying to do something, right?
that's right.
At that address. All right, that gets us in the right place. We're good enough.
My name is Curtis Mills. I'm the applicant and the property owner. I think that you'll want to hear from Kenny Ellsworth, the architect. Don't know how much of an introduction you may want on the project, and I don't want to give you more than you want.
All right, that's good. We'd love to hear that more often. Actually, so that makes it easy. But I have a
That's
question.
funny.
Do you own the building that 7 acres in?
Yes,
And then I guess you own the land where Matilda's,
yes.
and so then you own this land. What about the land next door, the house next door?
The McCurrys,
Yes,
I don't own the McCurrys property, no.
okay. Have they rung in on whether they're for or against? Do we have any opposition?
Yes, so you all haven't seen my letter of intent or whatever. Doug and Charna McCurry are good friends of mine, 30-year friends. And same thing for 7 Acre, same thing for Matilda's. When we got the concept, the first thing I did was go over there, meet with them, walk it, say, what do you think? And quite frankly, I gave them full blackball veto authority. If they didn't like it, I wasn't going to do that to them. And after a number of iterations, we got to something they liked, just like we did with Matilda's and 7 Acre. They did request that it be placed as far to the east as it could be, and that's behind the Shell station, if y'all know.
No, that's where you've got it
we're-
now on your site plan.
That's where we have it on the site plan. It forced us to ask for a variance on a 75-foot buffer that I think was intended for residential, and it's usually nothing, very little for commercial. But anyway, so acceding to their wishes. And then since you asked, originally it stretched further back on the property and we walked it. They thought it was too intense and we drew it all in. So long answer, the McCurrys are on board.
When you go to BZA, I would get a letter from them.
So I want to just interject here. This is actually just a building review for the commercial building. They have a separate, I have a briefing in your packet that said they're going to have a separate petition to modify their conditions on the site plan. But today they are here only for the building review.
Only for the what?
Building review, yeah.
Okay.
So,
But Reed Casey's not here tonight. He had called me before the meeting, couldn't be here. And those were some questions Reed had. He felt it was maybe too east, but I agree with what I'm hearing from you, that to protect them, you've pushed it all the way over there, needing a variance. So I wanted to lead into, when we get to our recommendation for BZA, I think it's important to hear their
Sure.
position, why you put it east, and why you need a variance over there. because you could put it closer to the neighbor and not need a variance.
Yeah, our other partner in the project, Chris Sedgwick, not here tonight, he wanted it all the way on the west side for, optimal placement, and we reversed that.
All right, and I would concur with what you've done. Also, I'm a developer. Further down the highway toward the residential is worse than concentration, headlights, noise at the corner. And then, my goodness, anything you do is quieter and better than the Shell station. So I think the placement is very good.
Thanks.
All right, so I wanted to cover that and answer Reed's question. And I think it's important for us to get on record if the board decides the location's good, that's where your variance is going on. And if we're going to support that, we need to be clear about it.
Sure.
So I've got some, and the board may too, have some architectural questions. Will this, when they get the BZA approval, should they get it, then do they have to bring this back to us for architecture?
They are right now doing
That's
that.
what this is for, yeah.
Okay, so we won't see it again.
Well, since I put it in a courtesy review, they are here to get a direction. They'll be back for the final review, so,
So we will see it again.
yeah. So
Just
just
wanted
give
to
them
be-
some directions.
With courtesy and final and, previews. And I just want to be clear that we will see this again and for a final review. So we'll discuss our architecture with you, knowing it's coming back to us if you get your approval at BZA. Okay? Obviously, if you don't, you won't be
Just-
back.
Just for the record, they're actually not going to BZA, they're going to the council because this is just a zoning modification to their site plan.
So it's going to who, council?
Directly the mayor and council.
Okay, good. That's probably an easier place to go, actually, because everybody eats at 7 Acre on the council. So that's probably a good place to have to go. All right, so we've covered those issues. We understand what you're here for, and I'm going to close the public hearing. We have no opposition. So let's close the public hearing. And Mr. Architect, I'm sure they're going to call on you. So now let's do the architecture and what we think and give you the best input we can. Curtis, thanks for your brief.
I don't know that I told you much, but.
Enough.
State your name and address.
My name is Kenneth Ellsworth. I'm a Studio Sogo Architects. My address is 1631 South Gordon Street, Atlanta, Georgia 30310.
Don't want to hurt your feelings. You've drawn this, and we may have some comments. So they're just some comments that we think as a board better fits Milton. We'll see how many we've got as the board starts discussing it. So is there anything you want to tell us particularly that we should know as we start to review these drawings with you?
Yes, the property, of 7 Acre, everybody knows that. One of the big moves that we were doing here was moving the old farmhouse over. Curtis, you didn't mention, there's some history there.
I didn't sound like they wanted.
I think that part might be important. So the center of the restaurant, the white box, that's the old farmhouse that we're moving over, relocating it to function as the dining room. There's some.
May I make a comment on that?
You can make all the comments you want. I was just
It might be
kidding.
relevant. Well, I don't want to.
You're not. Tell us
I
everything.
don't want to tell you anything you don't want to hear. But on Cogburn Road at St. Aidan's Episcopal Church, there's an old farmhouse, 1890s. I go to that church, and about 15 years ago, they wanted to destroy the old farmhouse. And if you know St. Aidan's, the church is back off the road. And I don't, unlike the other requests you get for demolishing old houses, I save them. And so at that time, I donated money to renovate the old farmhouse so it wouldn't be destroyed, and they used it for counseling and youth and blah, blah, blah. Fast forward, they want to get rid of it again. And I said, okay, I'll take it. You may know, if you've been back on the Matilda's part of the property, that we moved a tiny old farmhouse from Alpharetta to that location. It serves as the stage and some, where the musicians stay when they're performing. So I knew we could move one, and I said, I'll take it, and then pitched the idea. So that old farmhouse is the nucleus for the development, although most of what's in the photo is added on around it. That makes sense. So I'm trying to save the old building.
Okay, that's good information.
So which part of the building is
The white, like schoolhouse looking right in the middle. Turn to
Like the lower,
the south elevation.
yeah.
got it.
So that was the main germ of the whole project, was Curtis's collection of old buildings that he renovates and does respect to. So we started with that as the dining room, and then built the rest of the restaurant around it. Kitchen on one side and the lobby and kind of pastry counter on the other, flanking it. We had a couple of rounds with Bob and Robin and the rest of the team to refine it to what it is today. It was directed that more of a farmhouse look would be appreciated. So we revised our original one to what you see today for the restaurant itself.
All right, since we're on that, some of the windows are very contemporary without panes, and they're just, especially the one in the center, kind of looks like St. Aidan's, actually, in the middle. It's very contemporary, and we might look at that. I don't see page numbers on here. The north elevation, restaurant north elevation. What's your thinking? For me, that's too contemporary. So
That's the north elevation. That faces the back of the property. The idea there was the existing building that we're moving only goes about halfway through the restaurant. And then we're continuing that roof form out to provide a covered patio out back. The idea was that that could be a completely operable wall where we could open that whole thing up and let the restaurant flow in and out into that patio area.
So the windows on the ground floor, are those doors that slide open?
Those are doors, yes.
But that side of the building actually faces
Matilda's.
the other structure that's back behind it,
That's correct.
right? So it opens up to a courtyard. You would have to be standing in the courtyard to even see
That's correct.
those
deep within
sliding
the
doors,
wings of-
accordion doors or whatever, right?
Correct.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Right.
That's the least decorative side, which is not seen
But you're
anywhere.
not going to see it from anywhere unless you're standing inside there. But then it's more functional than anything else.
Let's do this. You got a lot of great pictures here. Let's go over and start. We'll just take it an elevation at a time rather than jump around. Let's start with A 0.06, which is the site plan.
So excuse me, Mr. Chair, I just have a couple general things.
Okay.
The railings, I like your key, I guess, at the end of the packet, which has the concrete. You specifically have spelled out pavilion exterior, weathered wood, white siding, the specific, Eco Urbana stone. I'd like to see the railings, the style, color, make. You've got them on the rendering, but it's one of those things where we want to make sure that whatever you guys are proposing is going to be built. We had a similar instance to this on another job where they had some very ornate railing, and we wanted to make sure that if they were presenting that to us, that was the railing that was going into there. Same thing kind of to what Charlie was talking about is the style windows, the color. That would be good to know as well, because we would want to make that as part of a condition of that. And then with the roofing, I know you've got the slate shingles, but it looks to me on your drawing where you have some standing seam metal roofing too. So we'd like to see where those different roof materials change. And then also if you are going to do a standing seam, what color and make you would have on that as well.
Okay, the intent with the railing, and I hear you, and we'll absolutely spec that in a more.
Ken
rigid-
did a
rigid
great
way.
job. Everything that's on the site, we'd like to see as you started doing it. During the pandemic and after with shortages, buildings got built. Well, we couldn't get that, so we just changed it. And some people did a good job of changing to the better and some didn't. So Ken really described it well.
The railing is intended to match what's at 7 acres, so that would be an easy one too.
Yeah, just a photo and, hey,
Right.
match existing rail, so.
All right, so you had a couple of points.
That was it generally, but yeah, if you want to go,
All right, let's do it by page so we're not jumping around, all of us. A 0.06 site plan ties into what Doug was saying about that fronts the courtyard. So
I think that wall is actually this wall right here. It's tucked up inside the building.
It's tucked inside.
Yeah.
so you're happy with those windows?
Yeah. I mean, I get it. If that were the front, it would be like, oh gosh, that doesn't look so good. But it's actually this wall. It's inside the building, and it's more functional than anything else to have those doors be able to open up and use them.
All right, so we understand the site plan and what that's about. I think we can skip on over to 07, a little better definition of the site plan. Ringing in on on Reed, he felt it should be pushed. I agree with you. I think in our recommendation, we really should make a recommendation to council that this is where it should go and needs to go, behind the gas station, so that they're clear on, we've really looked at this and that's where it ought to be. So we've seen the site plan and location. Is everybody good with the location?
Yeah.
And pull forward on the site, pull toward the shell, makes all the sense in the world. So we want to really support that. Point 1.2 is an elevation. Let's look at that and let everybody ring in on what they think here on this elevation. Ken, Doug, you guys have been taking the lead. Rachel?
Which picture are we looking at? Which elevation?
A.12. So is the
bottom
intent to
services.
leave the building that you're
Yeah.
moving the same color white that it is now,
Yes,
and then to paint the rest of it the brown color?
that's just natural wood, not intended to be painted.
Got it.
That's like a weathered wood, right? Like from the picture? Is that, it says restaurant pavilion exterior? Okay. So it won't be as gold. It'll be kind of just a distressed looking wood.
Yeah, I mean, we're not looking for a distressed look, but a weathered look.
Okay.
Excuse me, gutter color as well, if that's going to match, from the rendering, again, it looks like it's just a white paint. I don't know if that was just from the rendering or whatnot, or to tie it into, the existing structure that you guys are going to reuse, but it would be good to have, are those round? Are you doing half round gutters? What color are they? If there's any kind of ornamental brackets or anything like that, I think I'd like to see that as well.
What about brackets? I'm all about some brackets, a little more detail around these posts. And I think this is pretty authentic to old Milton and poor Milton. But today, with the level of homeowners, and you can leave here, look at several buildings here, look at the office buildings right here, the townhomes in the roundabout, the 2 medical buildings across the street. So you can go within 1,000 yards of here and see some great examples of more brackets, a little more architecture on the buildings. I'm real good with the box and the shape, but it's the
Details.
it's a little bit more details. It's a little this is a terrible word, but maybe a little cheaply done. It could have a little bit more. I built a barn, or it's a guest house, but I wanted it to look authentic on Freemanville. It's a red barn. And it was done by a local architect. And I wasn't going to do the brackets, and he made me do the brackets, and they look great. He said, you got to have the brackets. And So for me, I'd like a little bit more. I like the feeling, the texture of the metal rails. The iron or the wire rails look neat, but maybe some brackets at the top and a little bit more. And I'm going to have that theory all over, just more detail. And if Bob's seen this, I learned that from Bob 7 years ago. So that's Bob generally pushing for more details.
Okay.
Do I get any support on that, or how do y'all feel about that?
Yeah, I like that.
Agree.
I like that. I'm trying to remember, what does the base of the current 7-acre building look like? It's not stacked stone like this. What is
I think it's red brick.
the base of it? Is brick?
Brick
Some
or is it
brick.
just siding? Is it?
Is it not siding all the way
Like a
down?
little bit of both.
Okay. Yeah. Front and east are,
Mhm.
did you hear that
Yeah.
from Curtis?
Left.
Red brick on the
Thanks.
front and east side.
I'm assuming when I ring in on my recommendation that 7 Acres is going to operate this and run it. Have you had a lease with them? Are they going to run it, or is somebody else going to run this?
Josh, or Curtis, do you want to talk about operations?
It sounds like
Yeah, just
it's
the
the partner.
administration. So I'm the property owner, but additionally, I'm a partner with Josh Reed and Chris Sedgwick in 7 Acre. And we're going to replicate that exact same structure in this new entity. So it won't be officially related. There's economies we can share, we will, but separate but same management. Josh is the GM of 7 Acre and a partner. He'll also run the other entity.
Josh, why don't you come up, since you're going to be an important player here?
but yeah, it's a Sedgwick restaurant, so it's
I know.
I state my name and address.
You should.
Yes, please.
Josh Reed, 1105 Birmingham Road.
And Josh does a great job, and in full disclosure, I call and I say, hey, I'm on the way. Could you put my bottle of wine on the table? And we have
And it
that close of a
happens.
relationship and have had for a long time. So I'm really happy. I'd heard you were going to be part of this, and nobody's doing it better than Chris at 7 Acre. And he's done a fabulous job in Alpharetta with Pure and those buildings over there, better than any municipality could have ever expected. So, and in our recommendation, not only give them the variance, but from a planning point of view, this takes our retail on out. It gives us a venue that all of the venues we're getting in Crabapple. You don't have to do a wedding in Crabapple. There's another place to do it and some other activities further out. Cherokee loves 7 Acres. So having more on this property is a plus, I think. Bigger attraction, activity node with the office across the street. So as we appeal to city council to approve this, it makes all the sense in the world. And then the quality of what's going on at 7 Acres with this partnership, I just wanted to have that on the record that you two are coming over there to operate this.
That is the plan. Thank you.
You going to serve my wine at breakfast?
That is the plan. Yeah. Bloody Marys, mimosas, if you like.
Well, I can't come see you if it's just breakfast.
For sure.
So if we have a bad day, we go up there to see Josh, right? All right, so let's get the team to ring in on this exterior, because what we do here may start going around the building. And if the board is for the brackets and a little more embellishment, let's decide that.
Are those the columns are that you were referring to, you'd like to see brackets on? Are those just rough timbers, or are they just 6x6 pressure treated? Are they going to be wrapped with hardy, or is it, what's your intent there?
The intent is just a 4x4 PT post, but wrapped in, a 3/4 trim board.
Okay.
Is that going to be hardy? Is that going to be pine?
I think it would be nice to be real wood.
Yeah.
Big maintenance problem.
Understood. Well, we can do hardy, but you know,
But the intent is for most of the exterior to be that weathered wood,
Rustic, yeah.
right?
yes.
Okay. So your point is if they do weathered wood, just pressure treated, maybe the brackets.
Yeah, for me, you know, brackets may not be necessary if they're going to have a rustic timber or something like that there, right? Because sometimes those brackets do take away from that. But even if something as simple as like a 6-inch, you know, base and capital or something like that wrapping around that, you know, to me, that's the rustic timber, I think would be more appealing to me, but I think either or. I was just kind of just getting some clarity on that.
All right, well, let's give him some guidance. So when he comes back, we know what we got. So
Regarding
I'm just looking at
brackets,
7 acre. I mean, they're trying to make it look like the front of 7 acres, right? And it's just,
all right, then let's skip the brackets. I think that's where we're ending up.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think brackets to me make it more of a craftsman feel and less rustic farmhouse. But, you know, I hear you on more detail and we can certainly add some.
And so for me, some brackets, some detailing, and the muttons, because some of these windows all the way around, we'll look at them. Some have muttons in them, they're real nice, and then some just don't. And so I'm good with Doug's point that the patio we don't see, but the rest of it we do. Any other comments on page 12?
No, sorry, I moved on.
Okay, 14. Any comments on 14?
Yeah, kind of the same thing where I don't want to say flying buttresses, but where you have those stone kind of bases up to, say, the finished floor, and then from there you have kind of a wood accent that separates and makes those kind of panels on there. Are those wood, I'm going to say flying buttresses because I don't know another term for that other than just is that going to be kind of that same rustic tie-in with the columns and stuff like that, which I actually really like the drawing as is. So that was just a question. Maybe a simple note that just says, you know, raw wood or something, or you know, rustic.
I'm sorry, there's been a lot of interest in this project and I ended up giving out my personal copy of the presentation. So I'm trying to catch up onto which sheet you're on.
All right, did you finish?
Yeah, sorry.
We were
That was
rude
page 12, you
talking
said?
over here.
14.
We're on 14. So
Looking at the back
Doug has
pavilion.
done a good job here doing some homework on 7 acre. Why don't you ring in on the base?
well, just,
Discuss that.
yeah. So, you know, Charlie's talking about the brackets at the top and 7 acre. It looks similar at the top of them. They do have the Y pieces on there, but then the base of 7 acre looks like it's brick as opposed to stack stone. And I mean, I like that we're trying to be consistent with what the styling of the buildings are. I think the base, instead of being stack stone, should probably be brick similarly, right? Is there a thought of why stack stone? Is that just more desirable for the owner?
I think
or-
it's a variation on the theme. You know, 7 acre itself has been there for a long time. This is a new building. We're looking at using stone for that patio area. We were just looking for a little variation.
We added the brick to 7 acre when we did the final remodel on it to open it as 7 acre. It wasn't there historically.
I think we like the brick.
Yeah, I think that's
And in the day with crawl spaces, when they could afford it, there was some brick or stone in these old buildings.
Yeah,
So is your theme to duplicate 7 acres look or to make them different? I served for many years on a landmarks commission, and the new does want to be different from the old and let the old be the old and the new so that you can tell them a difference. What is your desire? What are you trying to do?
I think it's a variation of theme. We want to be respectful and contextual with the 7 acre, but we're not trying to recreate it necessarily. So I think the stone added just a little bit of an elevated look over brick. And it matched what we were doing in the courtyard to a degree, having the stone pavers there.
Okay, Doug?
do any of the buildings across the street, some of the buildings, the office buildings across the street have stack stone, do you not?
They do.
Yeah, the bank does, I think.
No, I mean, it's obviously not.
Let's finish the base Doug, and to make a decision here on what you're wanting to do and think. We good with the stone or we good with the brick?
I mean, I guess I'm good either way. I'm just trying to understand why, what it was you're trying to do with that. But you're trying to tie it in more to what the patio flooring looks like?
Partially with the patio flooring, but also just
the
elevated,
courtyard?
similar to 7 Acre, but a little bit different, a little updated.
Yeah, okay. I guess I don't necessarily think of Stackstone as being updated. I think of Stackstone as being 1990s, but I guess that's just my personal preference there.
Well, we've been building 30 years and 90s were stone and we don't do any stone anymore. Or very, very little.
Yeah.
So it's more brick.
I mean, these things are cyclical too. The brick, the stone also has a different texture to it. It'll catch that shadow light a little bit differently. It has a little more of that rustic feel to it. That was the intent.
Ken, you gonna ring in on this? Rachel, you got a comment on brick or stone?
I actually don't mind the stone. I mean, really, it's not dominant. I think if like looking at, A 1.14, that elevation where you have those kind of columns, it lightens it up a little bit, and most of it's going to be that rustic stone or that rustic wood. I think that will kind of tone down the stone itself. So for me, I really don't have a preference on those two, the stone or brick.
May I add a comment? My office is the old green building across the street behind where the Wells Fargo was. It's called the Newton House, or the old Birmingham Hotel until the 1930s. But it's stone around the base. Not that it needs to tie with that, but there are examples of it in the crossroads.
Casey, you got a viewpoint on this or not?
I don't mind the stone. I don't, I kind of have some sort of sentiment with Doug there as well, but it's one of those things. The stone's not the eye catcher. In my opinion, you're looking at that big pavilion in the back and then that white building up front. So me, I think it looks really good. Because the weathered wood is essentially going to wear and brown over time, correct? So that's that neutral, natural weathered color is going to eventually fade at some point, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
it'll
just going to
mellow
give
out.
it that old feel.
Mm-hmm.
So
Rachel?
I have a question. Is the stack stone actually real, or is it like a faux stone? I'm just looking at the picture here, the El Dorado stone. Is that actually a real stone? Not a,
I believe it's real stone. Maria, do you remember? Yeah.
Okay.
That's a real stone.
El
that's kind of an
Dorado-
important thing to have that.
El Dorado's not a new stone. That's a cement fake stone.
Okay.
It's a manufactured stone.
Yeah, so it's not real stone.
Yeah, because like the real,
Or is it? Is it? Do you know?
it looks kind of manufactured, so.
It's manufactured. It's manufactured.
It's
That
not
was-
real stone. Yeah. Okay.
So what you think?
I've seen that. When I do a lot of exteriors, there's a big difference I can tell immediately if it's fake. So that was just my question looking at the picture. So I know there's a big cost differential for that, if it's real or if it's manufactured. So just curious when I was looking at the picture of it.
There is, and they make the outside corners so you don't see the little tiny pieces. And
Mm-hmm.
the idea is there's not really a lot of it. On the base of the building, up a couple of feet, and then on the back side of the pavilion, there is more, but that's not very public facing.
All right, let's make a decision on this. Doug, you brought it up, so what do you think? Where do you want to go with this?
I mean, personally, I'm not a fan of Stackstone. I mean, it reminds me of my parents' Alpharetta house in 1990. But that's just my perspective, and not everyone doesn't have to agree with me. It doesn't have to mean that it has to be brick, but that's just my suggestion. And it might just be what's throwing me is that the coloring of this, it looks like siding, is so brown on here that it makes it look that much different. And if it's natural wood, that would clearly be different from the picture you have in the back. So I don't know, maybe it's just my eyes are messing with me with that, with the coloring of the wood.
All right, and that's why we have a board of 4 to 7, because we all have different opinions and we listen. And this is an important new building in a very residential area. And so we are looking at this to fit. I like what you're doing, that you're making it fit. What Adam's down here in Crabapple is for Crabapple, and you're doing something for up there. I think the majority of us here today, we're going to leave it with stone.
That's fine.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So we're done with that discussion. Do we have any discussion on 01? We'll leave it with your stone, even though it's fake stone. I bet your building that's 100 years old is real stone. Because El Dorado didn't go in business
Yeah,
yet.
exactly.
I was not aware of the fake stone. We'll have a conversation. If you all are okay with the concept, it may.
Yeah, we're going to leave it with the stone. You pick it. So here's how the board generally works. Some people we have confidence in and some people we don't. And if we don't have a lot of confidence in some applicant, like the one we met with Monday, right? Shuba, right? We don't have a lot of confidence in him, do we? And we've told him that, so I'm not talking behind his back. But we've got a lot of confidence in what Josh, you, Curtis are going to do. And so you find the best stone, look at it carefully. Rachel's point is the fake does look different. And then for me, I was waiting to ring in. If you go with the stone, the mortar joint and the color of that mortar is critical to the design. Wrong mortar joints and that whole
Agreed.
stone wall looks real or fake. So I would encourage you to look at the mortar joint and the mortar color. Rachel's a designer. What do you think?
Totally agree. Yeah, that's super important.
All right.
Little details.
That takes care of 01. Any other comments on page 1.01? Still looking for brackets. Get them. Okay, page 1.02. Any comments on this? I had a comment on.
What faces the parking lot,
That's the
correct?
parking lot. Is that like, did I ever saw somewhere that's a sliding, like, walk-up order window? Is that correct?
In the center there, yes, that's a walk-up window.
Are these clad exterior, or have you guys gotten to that point yet?
Sorry?
The windows, are they clad exterior windows or?
Oh, yeah. we
Are
haven't
they
gotten to that
wood or-
point.
Okay.
I think Clyde would be nice just from a maintenance standpoint, but
I would agree,
we're
but
open to that.
What about on the trellis? It's a little shaky and it's like you didn't have enough money to put a number of slats in there to make that look like a trellis. I assume there's a patio under there or something. What's going on with the open trellis on page 1.02?
Yes, the intent for the dining room, which is the old farmhouse we're bringing over, is to have that open to structure so you can see the framing members inside. And having that glass wall that's operable on the backside, we wanted to just have that ceiling structure or the roof structure continue out to form that open but somewhat covered
Yeah.
patio in the back.
It's like an extension of the church building that they're bringing over.
Right. So it's as if the structure was there, we just peeled that part of the roof off.
Right.
So you're really not trying to put a little shade in there and have a trellis or something. You're trying to have, I'm not sure the consumer is going to see that, but and those joists wouldn't have been 18 inches on center. They look like they're 2 feet, 3 feet.
About 2 feet. Yeah. In the old building is, nothing was built on centers back then.
But the intent is that if you're sitting in the courtyard and you're looking up and you're looking at that, or if you're looking inside the old church building, it's going to look similar either way,
It's going
right?
to look like the same roof, just the roof, surface itself has been peeled off on the outside.
So that dimensioning is the same in the inside roof.
It is.
All
It'll be
right.
consistent inside and out.
All right. I like it.
No, I do too.
I'm
I think
not in
it's-
your head, so it's a little harder for me to see it. It's not.
It's
it's
built,
the
and
outside
I'm
in and the inside out.
I'm not in your
It is.
head.
I think it's a
Understood.
cool concept if you're sitting inside that.
And that's part of the reason that
Enclosed
back
area.
window is so modern, as you said, is we really want
So you
that to
can see.
disappear so you can see that
Yeah.
roof structure continue through.
All right, good. All right, I'm good with that. Anything else on page 1.02? Okay. Now we're back to the infamous windows. tucked back in the courtyard. 1.03. So I assume we're good with that.
Mhm.
1.04. Two point oh one.
That's the
what I-
dumpster. That's where the dumpster
This
Right, something.
comes out of it.
This is, that faces the gas station, that faces the north part of Birmingham.
Okay, on A 2.01 first, when you come back, you're gonna need some handrails coming down those steps, aren't you?
Yes, we will.
And you got an open corner there that my little 3-year-old grandson could fall off of. So we need to wrap that stair rail on around and down to the ground. And it looks like it's an elevated area over there, so wouldn't you have some handrail to the right of the building?
Yes, yeah, I think that was a graphic error on my part. There will be handrails there, yes.
It's a
Okay,
handicap
so
ramp right there. I
comes
think.
back, that
Mhm.
raised area won't have people falling off of it. It'll show the handrail coming all the way across.
That's where you have the slate, I guess, behind the little bar area.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's not the roofing. That's the slate that you have pictured in here is the accent wall, I guess, behind the bar.
That's the
Yeah,
back part, yeah. Yeah, all
Okay.
roof is intended to be natural finish, like a Kynar standing seam.
Okay.
All right, that's the end of 2.01. Let's look at 2.03. Here's where the muttons begin to bother me, that the windows upstairs and the barn windows aren't anywhere near Milton, old time accurate, because those would be 4 panes in that high barn. I did a lot of research on barns before I built mine. And then you've got the muttons in the doors on the ground floor. So that's just tugging at me as a real problem.
I have no problem putting quad muttons in the clear story windows. That's
Let's get the muttons in there, and then the same little 2x2 window or 3x3 down here, so that this elevation, which is the biggest one by far, has a little more character to it. I like the lower roof and upper roof and all that. So the muttons will help me there. I'm going to ask you, you have a license. I don't. But architecturally, you'd save some money. I think the stone goes up way too high on this elevation.
which elevation are you on?
I'm on
The north
3.
elevation.
2.03, north
The
elevation.
back, yeah.
0.03. Okay, got it.
And that stone, and then I don't love it at all, passing through the roof there and going above the roof.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you there. Like, where would you want to stop it? Like
Yeah, but
where the ledge is?
I
and
think
then-
aesthetically, those are from another view of that elevation. That's the main floor level. Is why those were stopped there. I'm guessing.
Right.
That's ground level at the floor above that. Those were stopped at that patio up top.
That's correct.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but on this elevation, this is what we're going to read.
Sure.
And I've just never seen stone columns pass through a metal roof in all the hundreds of books I've read. I love architecture. I wish I'd have done that instead of being a ditch digger and a builder. But that just bothers me. Think about it, come back. If you can maybe include a picture that shows passing through that metal roof and the height of these, in my mind, that 50% stone ought to be more 1/4 stone, and or if you want to take them all the way up, that would make more sense to me, where they're really holding up the building.
I think in this case, we were trying to
Here's,
preempt the design process. I have no problem just keeping those all down at the water table.
well, here's the problem. If you go to the next page, that corner that you're looking at on the far right is the far left column that goes up
Mm,
on that elevation.
I see.
To Casey's point, like it is that bottom level.
Yeah,
And
he's
that would
trying
be
to,
bizarre.
but he's trying to tie it into the retaining wall,
Yeah.
and that's just one corner. And when he comes back, I hope we have a landscape plan that covers up a lot of this.
the previous version, we had that back wall as a board formed concrete. And when it went through Bob's review, he recommended we take it out. That's what prompted this whole thing. I'm sorry. Chris.
Yeah, I like the stone wall better.
Mhm.
And they should put some
So
thing on
the
it.
key to this for y'all to decide is, do we put more importance on the very corner of the east elevation where that column hits the retaining wall? Or do we put our focal point on the north elevation that's the biggest? I'm happier with the Muttons and all those windows. And do we just let this go or not?
Or on the north elevation, do you keep the two outside columns where they are because they tie into those sides, and then those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the middle stay down at
Yeah, that's an
At the
option.
water table
or
level.
whatever?
That's an option for sure.
You take all those down, nothing goes up through the metal roof. You only have the corners that tie into the sides where it's relevant.
That's an excellent compromise. And if you do that, Doug, I would like to see the roof extended over
All the way to it.
to those two columns so that they're not passing by.
Yeah.
And then you got a little bit more roof and then you got the two columns
Mm-hmm.
on either end.
We could take it to the left over that door on the left side, and then it becomes symmetrical.
Makes it
So you've got your
symmetrical.
even
I'm the same way. I'm like,
panels on either side, right? Instead of doing like,
I like that. That's good, Ken. If we just took the roof on over the door and then it's sitting there with the corner columns and then the two, and then the roof,
You never know.
the stone's not passing through the roof. I'd feel great with that.
So to make sure I understand, you're saying that the corner columns are okay and then the next one in?
Is okay also.
Okay, great. So we'll have two corner columns and then just a water table across.
And on the right-hand side of the drawing, the roof stops at the column. And then you'd extend the roof over to the same place
Over that
on the
brown
left
door,
Over
side.
that door.
mhm.
over that solid door.
You want to come look at this up here?
Will it extend all the way?
I
It'll
do
just
have it
extend
down
all the way
here,
to the
so.
column, similar to how it does on the right side.
Just kind of busy there with the way
Yeah.
it's passing through the roof. That'd make me feel great.
It'll also make the far left door not seem off center. It'll actually make that far left door center at that point if that third column's not there.
Yep. Mr. Architect, you good with that?
No, I have no problem with that.
Okay, and then the Muttons, and then that is our biggest elevation. 2.04, the east elevation.
Let's go.
That's back to the gas station. That side's never going to get seen.
Yeah.
What's the thought process behind the window, the stained glass?
The thought here was that this is primarily going to be used for weddings. Other events will happen here, but just having a
Oh,
nice
gotcha.
backdrop.
Sure. No, that's. I imagine that from any other view, unless you're inside that building, you're not going to see that window.
Right, it's more of an interior roof. It is a
But
little
that's-
odd because it's on the wrong side for
And
the
that's fine.
sun.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty feature.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
it though.
No, I don't.
Unique.
I
Like
wasn't.
it.
I don't dislike it at all. I think it's
it'll be-
nice. I just wanted to know what the thought process was.
Yeah, I think that'd
It'll
be
be
cool.
special inside.
What's the anticipated capacity of the space?
We're about, I think we were at 100. Is that right, Maria? 100 space, yes. 100.
All right, so now we're over on the black and whites, A 1.05. In black and white, maybe we see something else, so let's breeze through this and see if these drawings show us anything. Don't see anything on 105. Anybody?
No, just
point.
to Ken's point, just show those railings.
yeah, I mean, they've got them
Next time.
labeled here,
Yeah.
right? So.
Okay, 1.06. One point oh seven.
mhm.
You could put a little sign that says Doug's Windows right there. So we'll all know that he liked them. He championed those windows.
I like the scissor truss.
Yeah.
Have Chris put a pure
Is that
Okay.
currently in the existing
cover it.
structure, the scissor truss like that, or is that added on?
That's added on. The-
Just for
the existing
support
roof
for that
structure is-
freestanding roof? Yeah,
Yeah, it's severely compromised over there, so we'll have to rebuild.
it's a good look.
Yeah, I like it.
A 1.08.
It's just more of the same.
A 2.05.
I like this where you have the cantilever and you have those like dental moldings, or if it's, where it kind of shows, or excuse me, that's the roof right there. So that's a exposed rafter roof that's coming over
Those are the
that?
rafter tails,
Yeah,
yes.
okay. Yeah, I like it.
Okay. A 2.06. I'd like to see those muttons back in the barn, 3x3s. Are those 3x3 windows up there?
Roughly, yes.
So is that a cathedral ceiling in there up to those
Yes,
windows?
It is.
Yes.
The muttons will give it some character in there.
Yeah, and that's fine. I have no problem with the mountain.
All right, so we put those up there high. A 2.07 is the emphasis on these columns, and we've taken care of that. So same with 2.08. We liked it.
Can't wait to eat.
Okay, and if you update your spec sheets here with colors, paint, numbers, everything you're going to have on the project is finished when you come back and see us.
Great.
So we're going to need a recommendation, and it's going to council. So, one,
Not now.
Oh, that's the other side. Yeah, yeah.
one,
Well, are
let's-
we recommending, or are
No,
we're just doing a
we're
courtesy
doing building
review?
You're not.
so we're not
recommending.
going to give
No.
anything to council
No,
unless we want to make a call to them. So,
you can make a call.
yeah, we can always do that. All right, good. So courtesy review's done. I think you've heard from us. We look forward to seeing you back and getting a yes. And when's the council meeting?
It's in June, really. I don't remember the date, but it's in
It is
month
the
of June,
6th.
yeah.
Okay. Good luck, Josh. Take good care of it.
Yeah, to that point, I think this is a good packet, right? I think the building is, I think we made some recommendations and stuff like that. And if you guys can, make some of these minor tweaks and stuff like that, that I think we would like to see on here, it's going to be a nice building. And I think that, in reference to Charlie's comments about, whether we believe in someone or not, it's usually based on kind of what information they provide. And so the reality is at the end of the day is we want this building to, we want to see this building, we want to see it go up, and we want to make sure that, what you guys are presenting to us is what you're actually building. And that really is our ultimate goal kind of as this board. So well done.
Yep.
Look
Thank
forward to
you.
seeing you guys again.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda, again, courtesy review 6B, 15245 Birmingham Highway. Is the applicant here?
Hello. My name is Arturo Corso. I live at 15245 Birmingham Highway. And this is a request for your recommendation to the board to grant me a variance to allow me to keep an existing house where I live as a guest house. I want to build a new house in the rear of the property. And there's 5 criteria that would allow a guest house, but the 5th one is not going to be in compliance. The 5th one is that the guest house be only in the rear yard. Now, my house is built 60 feet off the road, and so it would be impossible to keep that in the rear yard and have a new house in front of it. I sent a pretty detailed letter going through all the criteria, and hopefully y'all have had a chance to take a look at that. But I do have a letter of support from my neighbors to the rear, the Sampsons, my neighbors next door, the Maus, and they just haven't given me an updated letter since I changed the style on this survey. And I have a letter of support from my across the street neighbor, Mr. Mark Franklin, who owns the Daylily Farm. I think everybody knows where that is. So I'm directly across the street. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, but I am hoping for your recommendation to allow me to keep that house that's 52 years old and inside quite lovely. Architecturally, I plan, if allowed to build a new house, I plan to dress up the existing house to have a corresponding architectural tie-in to the new house.
All right, so is there any opposition?
No.
Hearing no opposition, I'm going to close the public hearing. We have a precedent of allowing this on occasion and are recommending it be allowed. In this case, there's 4 votes here, so we got to see what they want to do. I would recommend it, but I would want it recommended subject to you coming back and showing us the architecture on this house, because this is not your fault. You bought it at this way, but it needs some work on it, and it needs a better paint color, and it needs cleaning up, and it needs, if it's going to sit out in the front where it's sitting now, and you're going to get another house on it, I'd really like to see some good architecture done here, a better paint color, and just brought up to Milton's 2023 standards.
You will. In fact, I've already talked to the city architect about adding a front porch, adding some rough timber supports in the front, making it far more Milton-esque. So I'll come back and show you some drawings. First, I need to know if building the second house is going to be allowed, of course.
We understand. So I think we've closed the public hearing. So let me get any other discussion from the board before we make this
I think
recommendation.
it's ironic that we just had this question at our last meeting, where we understanding why and the
Side yard.
difference. Yeah, and it was, well, but it was, what was the difference and why do we allow it or not allow it? And I think one of the concerns was parking in front and what that would look like if it were to be used as a rental property, or if there's, whatever. This one actually has the parking is behind that house, right? It's not in front, so you wouldn't see it from the front anyway, or at least it's to the side of it.
That's right, Mr. Heenan. Also, there wouldn't be any renting going on. This would be an ancillary structure for my home, my family only.
Mhm.
But we always have to worry about that.
Yeah.
It's not directed at you. It's just that is a concern in the world today everywhere.
Yeah, you sell, eventually it gets rented. Who knows, right?
All right, do we have it in our recommendation? Hopefully that we're recommended they approve this. The approval would have to be required that he comes back and shows us, as Bob has mentioned to you, new architecture, new colors, and the improvements. And if he doesn't do that, then he can't get his permit to build a new house. So he comes back, and we see this upgraded as a big focal point on an important road out front. I do like you moved the driveway and the way the new drive serves both. I like how the new house is standing proud of the other one and more of the focal point down the drive, and the guest house is over with the little parking court over. So all of that looks good on the site plan and the way you're going to do it. We just want to see better architecture. If we're going to recommend, design review board's going to recommend, you can keep that guest house.
Okay.
It's
sounds
got to
good.
be brought up to where we're as proud of that as we are the new house. So, Michael, well, first, I don't have everybody's blessing here.
No, I would agree with that. I mean, the only thing that potentially I would suggest make go away is the carport. Somehow kind of draw something into that, because that's, granted, it is behind from view from the road, but I know there was one that was covering a boat on a property last month as well that was brought up. So I don't know if carports are the Milton brand, but there's just something
I
to
think that's
consider.
a valid point. We'd like to see maybe close that carport in.
Gonna be tough. I'd have to take off the entire rear section of the roof because of the way it's built. I could do it. It'd be a much bigger endeavor than I had planned to do.
Again, the fact that it's behind the property, that was just one of the things that I noticed.
If I can do it, I would do it.
Yeah.
I like the idea. I've already talked to my wife about it.
All right, well, when you come back, we're going to weigh what the whole thing looks like as an entire package with the architecture. And if everything looks great and you've closed it in or not, we'll just look at the overall package.
What, can I ask this question? I'm not really sure what I'm looking at on the last page before the plat, where you have the proposed new house going in. So the driveway splits off, comes down to the existing house, goes straight to the other one. Where it comes this way, why do the trees end before you get to the house? What is right there to the left?
Thanks, buddy. Why do the trees end?
Like the trees don't go all the way to the house. Is there something that is right there?
It's like
That's
they're just
just-
lining
that's
the drive, the
Just
entrance.
probably the landscaping plan. Right now, it's a concept. They still have to work on it a
I think
lot.
Doug wants you to bring the trees
Just
on
closer to the
around
house.
and shrubs on around to the house, hiding the parking court.
Then you wouldn't see any of the
Talking about
parking
the
or
house in the
cars.
front.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Talking
So
about this, talking about why there's nothing right there covering where all the cars would be and where the carport is right there,
We
right?
want you to screen the parking court.
Okay,
Right. So-
let
Yeah,
me
yeah.
point out that I have already done that. We've planted over 100 new trees and shrubs on this property. And so actually there is a landscape island that has been already planted. It's just not shown on this plat. But if you go by my house, you'll see that in front of the little house, all along Birmingham Highway, there's a curtain of new trees. And then on the precisely the angle that you're saying that would kind of screen the carport from view from Birmingham Highway, it's already been planted.
Okay.
So the trees are there.
Okay, good.
Now, I did have 2 trees damaged in that frost a couple of months ago that need to be replaced.
We all did. It's painful.
All right, let's do this. If there's no more discussion, let's make this recommendation to BZA that they approve this, subject to him coming back and upgrading significantly this high visibility guest house on Birmingham Highway. And that before he can get a permit to build his new house, we have to see this and approve his architecture. of the Guest
Drawings.
house. Okay?
Is it drawings, you mean, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, the drawings, the new
Okay.
drawings, new paint colors. You'll be doing your house, you said. So you can do this real quickly while you're doing the house and then come back and show us this. Then you'll be ready to get your permit on the other
Sounds
house.
great. Thank you.
So I would say one thing, if I can add, is I think a lot of times when we look at these cases, is how visible is the structure from the road? I'm familiar with this, and it is highly visible. So I would recommend on, this moves forward, you get approved, is really show us some Theodore cedars or some evergreens or some plantings and stuff kind of along the backside of that right of way that does sort of not necessarily create a wall till we don't see the house, but gives us some sort of shading and visibility kind of buffer, just so we're not looking straight at that house. Is
I
the
hear what
only
you're saying.
recommendation I would say.
I hear what you're
I think
saying.
you just
Thank
said that you were going to put some along Birmingham Highway anyway. So
They're there. I just probably need to bring you some better pictures.
okay, yeah, more
Or
updated.
drive by, come see me.
Yeah, I will.
Pictures would be good. We may not make the drive.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Documentation is good. All right, next item is 7A. We're moving now to, final reviews. 7A at 12220 Birmingham Highway, Suite 40. Are you the building owner or are you the tenant?
Yes, sir. I'm an architect.
You're the architect.
Yes, sir. My name is Mickey Timms. My address is 135 Ardsley Run, Hampton, Georgia. As it's on the application, this is for Alpha Spine Center, right at the end of your road. It's real simple. They have a porch there on the corner, away from the roundabout. They just want to enclose that porch, and they would take that door and move it out to the outer edge so it would line up the outside wall and continue that wall at the corner. And because they need some space for their employees.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
After you've seen everything else we've done, you're going to like this. Any opposition to this?
No,
Okay. Hearing no opposition, I'm going to close the public hearing. I think you've done a great job. You got a great package. It's a great use. I'd want to do it too. I haven't got any issues with this. Let's see if the board has any issues. They don't have any issues. We love what you're doing. You've given us a lot of great pictures. It's a no-brainer. So I think this is a vote, right?
Yeah.
So can I get a motion to approve this as submitted?
I'll make a motion to approve 7A Alpharetta Spine Center for building review.
12220 Birmingham Highway, Suite 40.
Yes, sir.
Second.
Second? Got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Good luck. Looks great.
Thanks.
Thanks for doing a good job. All right.
We have to do the demos, 5A.
Back to 5A.
Is
The
he-
applicant is here.
Okay, so we changed our agenda rather, and we're going to pick up now item 5A, 15370 Freemanville Road. It is a demo. And bring in with who you are.
My name is Leslie Harper, and I apologize, I was late. I drive a bus. I'm sorry.
No problem.
My
Leslie,
builder's not here. He's out of town, so. he told me to come
all
down
right.
here.
Do we have any opposition to this demo?
No.
Hearing no opposition, I'm going to close the public hearing. We're all about new and better in Milton. So demos are our favorite thing
I'm sure
generally.
they've been waiting for many years for that little trailer house to
So-
go.
So
That is not,
I'm
you
going
did
to,
not hear that from the board.
so if I can get a motion to approve Leslie's plan?
I have one question. We have a stamped and approved set of drawings here.
Yep. So there's a little story. They actually built a new house and she was living in the old house while she was building it. So that's why the drawings are really for the new house. And now she's going to demo the old house and going to move into the new house.
Okay.
She's got to get this demo to get her occupancy
They're
permit,
just
right?
using the old drawings to get the demo permit.
Yeah, and has she gotten the CO on the new house?
No, I need to check that one.
No,
All right, let's don't even know that.
okay.
Because we got a motion and I've
It's
got a
ready.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
What? No,
Good.
we didn't get did we get a motion?
No, I think we didn't.
No,
No,
we did not. Yeah.
I had a question.
Oh, we got a
Oh,
question.
okay. You've read-
All right, I want the motion in a second. All right, I got a motion for sure.
Charlie's got a bottle of wine waiting on somewhere.
No,
That's
no.
right.
I
That's
just-
right. Josh has
These poor
wine
people
chilling.
have waited through all the difficult ones. We might as well take the easy ones quickly. And you're tearing it down so we can't talk about architecture. So did you make your second?
Did we make a motion?
We didn't make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the demo of 15370 Freemanville Road.
Second?
Wow, we're really doing this right now. That's good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Good luck with your house.
Okay, thank
luck.
you.
Now that we've approved that, can I just ask a question? So she was able to build the other house behind it because she was, I guess, technically
She-
building.
She worked with us ahead of time and we allowed her to build a house because she promised that she's going to take down the old house. So she she's remained true to her promise. So
I'm just wondering, because we have things come to us where it's,
I
hey,
know.
this is a house in front and it's, but I guess it's whether you deem one to be a
That
guest
was-
house or not.
yeah, that was not a guest house. That was her primary house. She was building.
And so
And it
when
was
she started
committed.
building, she was building a guest house behind it. And now she's going to tear it down and make that her primary. So it's all copacetic.
They're
Got
really
it.
kind of next to each other.
Yeah. Okay.
It's kind of a weird
And
shape.
her lot is like a triangular. It was
It's an
really
arrowhead.
tough.
Right.
Kinda weird.
But
Yeah.
we want to work with Milton residents to make their.
No, I can appreciate
I
that.
I think that's a great idea. Thank you for
Yeah,
doing that and staff for working with you.
Yeah. I just wanted to, I totally agree.
Okay, good.
Awesome. Thank
All
you.
right,
Thank you.
thanks again. All right, let's move on to 8A, and that's new business. And we have a report on the district at Mayfield.
Right. So the district at Mayfield project is on track. It
Why don't you
just-
go up to the microphone?
Oh, it is microphone.
But we hear it better up here.
So it went to planning commission last Wednesday and they did approve all the text amendments that was proposed. So that was good. Now it's It's rounded to the mayor and the city council, and the first read will be done on May 15th, and then the final and the second and the final presentation and vote will be on June 5th. So you are invited to view that. But if you have any questions, let me know. Yeah.
My only
I can
question is,
answer.
does the planning commission go through every line of text like
Yes.
that every time?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep. There are some lawyers on that planning commission, so they love, and actually it helps, in my opinion, because they really look at, sometimes overly, because they look at grammar also.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like I was in an English class.
Yeah, that was. But yeah.
Okay, just wondering.
Anything else?
I'll make sure I'm never on that.
Yeah, that's what I watched it too. And I went, boy, DRB beats this. Never want to get over here.
No.
That was rough.
What Adam and I were saying, like, I'm glad this is in our meeting.
That was tough. All right, Shuba, thank you. That's the report. And with that done, we have no old business. And could I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
Motion
Great.
is